I was sitting in Craig's office, staring at a piece of paper with my name on it. Termination letter. The words blurred as I tried to process what was happening. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. "Tyler," Craig said, leaning back in his chair with that smug smile he always wore. I think we both knew this date was coming. I couldn't speak. My throat was closed up. "You've been late. You've missed shifts. You've made excuses." He dabbed the paper with his pen. "This company doesn't have room for people who can't keep up." I thought about Michael, my 10-year-old son, the kid who slept with his football next to his bed every night, the kid who believed his dad was strong like the Dallas Cowboys defense. If I lost this job, I'd lose everything. "Please," I finally managed. "I can explain." "I don't need explanations. I need results, and you haven't delivered." He slid the paper across the desk. "Sign it. Effective immediately." My hand reached for the pen, and that's when the door opened. An old woman walked in, small, frail, moving slowly with a cane. It was her, the woman I'd helped in the rain 2 nights ago. Craig's face went white. "Sarah?" he stammered. "What are you—" "Don't sign that, Tyler," she said, her voice soft but firm. I froze. "How do you know my name?" She looked at Craig, then at me, and she smiled. "Because I own this company." Everything stopped, and I realized that helping a stranger in the rain was about to save my entire life. But to understand how we got here, I need to take you back. Back to the beginning. Back to the day my world started falling apart.
My name is Tyler Ramos. I'm 35 years old, and for the past 3 years, I've been raising my son alone. Michael. He's 10. Smart, quiet, and obsessed with football. He sleeps with his football next to his bed every night, has posters of the Dallas Cowboys all over his walls, dreams of playing for a Texas youth team one day. And I'd give anything to make that dream come true. But the truth is, I'm barely keeping us afloat. I work as a delivery driver for Lone Star Courier Services in San Antonio. I've been there for 4 years. Long hours, low pay, but it's steady work. And after my marriage fell apart, steady was all I needed. My ex-wife left 3 years ago. Just packed her bags one morning and said she couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't handle being a mom. Couldn't handle the responsibility. She said she felt trapped, suffocated, that she needed to find herself. I begged her to stay. Told her we could figure it out. Go to counseling, whatever she needed. But she was already gone, emotionally, mentally. She checked out long before she physically left. So, she walked out, and I haven't heard from her since. At first, I was angry, then heartbroken, then just numb. But I didn't have time to fall apart because Michael needed me. He was 7 when she left, old enough to understand, old enough to ask questions. Where's Mom? Why did she leave? Did I do something wrong? That last question broke me, because no kid should ever think they're the reason a parent leaves. Nobody, I told him. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't make sense, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. And I meant it. For the past 3 years, it's been just me and him. And we've made it work. Barely. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, get Michael ready for school, drop him off by 7:30, then I head to the warehouse for my shift. I deliver packages all day, sometimes until 8 or 9 p.m. During busy seasons, even later. When I'm done, I pick Michael up from the after-school program. We go home, I make dinner, help with homework, get him to bed. Then I collapse. And the next day, I do it all over again. It's exhausting, but I don't complain, because Michael deserves a good life, and I'll do whatever it takes to give him that. The problem is, money's always tight. Lone Star doesn't pay much. After rent, groceries, utilities, and Michael's after-school program, there's barely anything left. And lately, Michael's been asking for things I can't afford. New cleats. His old ones are falling apart, held together with duct tape. Team fees for the youth football league. $300. Might as well be $3,000. A new jersey, his favorite player's number. Every time he asks, I tell him, "Soon, buddy. I'm working on it." But I don't know if soon will ever come. Michael doesn't complain. He just nods and says, "It's okay, Dad." But I can see the disappointment in his eyes. And it kills me. Because I'm failing him. Not as a father, but as a provider. And that guilt, it's eating me alive.
My supervisor at Lone Star is a guy named Craig Holloway. 42, balding, always wearing a cheap suit that's too tight. He's the kind of boss who gets off on making people feel small. He loves firing people, says it keeps the numbers tight, like we're just numbers to him, not people with families and bills and lives. Craig's had it out for me for months now. I don't know why. Maybe because I don't kiss up to him like some of the other drivers. Maybe because he can sense weakness. And I've got plenty of that. He watches me like a hawk, looking for any reason to write me up. "Tyler, you were 3 minutes late this morning. Tyler, you missed a signature on this delivery. Tyler, you need to speed up your route times." It doesn't matter that I work harder than half the drivers there, that I've never lost a package, that customers leave good reviews about me. Craig doesn't care about that. He just wants me gone. And I know it's only a matter of time before he finds an excuse. Michael's football practice is on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Games are on Saturdays. I try to make every single one, but it's hard when Craig keeps piling on extra stops at the last minute. "Tyler, I need you to cover this route. Driver called in sick." "But I have my son's practice." "Figure it out." So I do. I rush through my deliveries, break every speed limit, skip lunch, anything to get there on time. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I see the look on Michael's face. The disappointment. The resignation. "That's okay, Dad. I know you're busy." But it's not okay. And I hate myself every time I let him down. One Thursday, I promised Michael I'd be at his practice. He was running drills with his team, and the coach said scouts might be watching. "You'll be there, right, Dad?" Michael asked that morning. "I'll be there, buddy. I promise." I meant it. But that afternoon, Craig pulled me into his office. "Tyler, I need you to take these extra stops. Johnson's out, and we're behind." I looked at the list. 20 extra deliveries. No way I'd finish in time. "Craig, I can't. I have my son's practice." "Then skip it." "I promised them." "I don't care about your promises, Tyler. I care about this company's reputation. Now get out there and do your job." I stood there, jaw clenched, fist tight. I wanted to tell him off, wanted to quit right there. But I couldn't. Because I needed this job. Michael needed this job. So I took the list and I drove. I worked as fast as I could, ran up steps, barely knocked before leaving packages. But it wasn't enough. By the time I finished, practice was over. I pulled into the parking lot and saw Michael sitting on the bench alone. Everyone else had left.
He looked up when he saw my truck. Didn't smile. just stood and walked over. "Sorry, buddy," I said as he climbed in. "I got held up." "It's fine, Dad." "Michael," I said, "it's fine." He put his earbuds in and stared out the window. And I felt like the worst father in the world. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the look on Michael's face, the disappointment, the hurt. I was failing him over and over, and I didn't know how to fix it. I thought about looking for another job, but who would hire a delivery driver with no college degree? And even if I found something, would it pay better? Would the hours be better? Probably not. So I was stuck, trapped in a job I hated, working for a boss who wanted me gone, barely scraping by. And my son was paying the price. I sat in my truck that night, parked outside our apartment, and I cried. Hard. The kind of crying where you can't breathe. Because I didn't know how much longer I could do this. 2 days later, everything changed. It was a Tuesday evening, late, almost 9 p.m. I was finishing my last few deliveries when the sky opened up. Texas storms don't mess around. 1 minute it's clear, the next it's a wall of rain so thick you can barely see 10 feet in front of you. I was driving through downtown San Antonio when I saw her, an old woman, standing at a bus stop. No umbrella, no jacket, just standing there, hunched over a cane, getting soaked. I should have kept driving. I was already running late. Craig would write me up if I took any longer. But I couldn't. Something in me wouldn't let me just drive past. I pulled over, grabbed my jacket from the passenger seat, got out into the rain. "Ma'am?" I called over the sound of the storm. She looked up, older, probably late 70s, white hair plastered to her face. She was shaking. "Are you okay?" I asked. She nodded, but I could see she wasn't. "Where are you headed?" "Home. Just a few blocks, but the bus, it's not coming." I looked down the empty street, no bus in sight. "Let me give you a ride," I said. She hesitated. "I don't want to trouble you." "It's no trouble, please." She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. I helped her into my truck, put my jacket around her shoulders, cranked the heat. "Where to?" She gave me an address, a neighborhood not far from where I lived. We drove in silence for a few minutes. The rain pounded against the windshield. "Thank you," she said finally. "Most people wouldn't stop." "I couldn't just leave you there." "Why not?"
I thought about it, because I'd hoped someone would do the same for my son if he needed help. She smiled. "You're a good man." I didn't feel like a good man. I felt like a failure. But I didn't say that. When we reached her house, I helped her to the door, walked her all the way up the steps. "You didn't have to do this," she said. "I know." She looked at me, really looked at me, like she was seeing something I didn't see in myself. "What's your name?" she asked. Tyler Ramos. "I'm Sarah Whitlock." She shook my hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Thank you, Tyler. I won't forget this." "No problem, ma'am. Stay safe." I ran back to my truck, soaked to the bone, and drove off. I didn't think much of it. Just another person who needed help. Nothing special. But I was wrong. That moment, that choice to stop, it was about to change everything. I got back to the warehouse at 9:47 p.m., 47 minutes late. Craig was waiting for me in the parking lot, arms crossed, face red. "Where the hell have you been?" he snapped. "There was a storm. I don't care about the storm. You're late. Again. Craig, I had to help someone." "I don't care about your excuses, Tyler. You're always late. Always making excuses. I'm tired of it." He stepped closer. "One more screw-up. One more. And you're done. Understand?" I nodded, jaw clenched. "Good. Now get out of here." I drove home, hands shaking. Not from the cold, from anger, from fear. One more screw-up, and I'd lose my job. And if I lost my job, I'd lose everything. Michael, our apartment, everything. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, wondering how much longer I could hold on. The next week was hell. Craig watched me like a hawk, waiting for me to mess up. Every delivery had to be perfect, every signature, every timestamp. I worked faster than I ever had, skipped meals, barely drank water, just pushed through. But it wasn't enough. On Thursday, Michael had another football practice, and I promised him I'd be there. "You're sure, Dad?" he asked that morning. "I'm sure, buddy. I'll be there." But when I got to work, Craig was waiting with another list. "Tyler, I need you to cover these stops." I looked at the list. 15 extra deliveries. Again. "Craig, I can't. I have your kids' practice. I know. You've told me 100 times. He leaned in. "Here's the thing, Tyler. Your job is here, not on some football field. So either you do these deliveries, or you can clean out your locker." I felt my blood boil. "You can't." "I can. And I will."
I stood there, fists clenched, staring at him. And then I thought about Michael, about the bills, about everything we'd lose. So I took the list, and I drove. I worked as fast as I could, but it wasn't fast enough. By the time I finished, practice was almost over. I pulled into the parking lot and saw Michael on the field, running drills. His coach was yelling instructions. I got out of the truck and started walking toward the field. That's when my phone rang. It was the coach. "Mr. Ramos?" "Yeah, I'm here. I'm walking over." "Michael got hurt." My heart stopped. "What?" "He took a hard hit during a drill, hit his head. He's okay, but he's asking for you." I started running. I found Michael sitting on the bench, holding an ice pack to his head. His eyes were red. "Dad," he said, voice shaking. I knelt down in front of him. "I'm here, buddy. I'm here." The coach explained what happened. Michael had gotten knocked down hard, possible concussion. They'd already called an ambulance just to be safe. "I'll ride with him," I said. I called Craig, told him I wouldn't be finishing my shift. "Tyler, if you leave—" "My son's hurt. I'm going." "Then don't bother coming back." He hung up. I didn't care. Michael was more important. We spent the next 4 hours at the hospital. Tests, scans, waiting. Michael was okay, just a mild concussion, but he had to rest for a week. No practice, no games. When we got home that night, Michael looked at me. "Dad, am I the reason you always look tired?" My throat tightened. "What? No, buddy. Because I feel like I'm making everything harder for you." I pulled him into a hug. "You're not making anything harder. You're the reason I keep going." But inside, I was breaking. Because he wasn't wrong. Everything was harder. And I didn't know how much longer I could keep pretending it wasn't. The next morning, I went to work expecting to be fired. But Craig wasn't there. Just a note on my locker. "Report to my office tomorrow at 8 a.m. We need to discuss your future here." My stomach dropped. This was it. I was done. That night, I sat in my truck outside our apartment. Michael was asleep inside, and I cried. Again. I thought about everything I'd done wrong, every choice that led me here, and I wondered if I'd ever be enough. For Michael, for anyone. The next morning, I woke up feeling numb. I got Michael ready for school, made him breakfast, walked him to the bus stop. "You okay, Dad?" he asked. "I'm fine, buddy." He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. But he didn't push. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too." I watched the bus drive away, and I wondered if this was the last morning I'd have a job. I got to the warehouse at 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. Craig's office door was closed. A light was on inside.
I sat in the break room, waiting, watching the clock. 7:50, 7:55, 8 a.m. Craig's door opened. He stepped out, saw me, and smirked. "Tyler, come in." I followed him into his office. I sat. My hands were shaking. Craig leaned back in his chair. I think we both knew this day was coming. I didn't say anything. "You've been late. You've missed shifts. You've made excuses." He tapped the paper with his pen. "This company doesn't have room for people who can't keep up." I thought about Michael, about the bills, about everything we'd lose. "Please," I said, "I can explain." "I don't need explanations. I need results, and you haven't delivered." He slid the paper across the desk. "Sign it. Effective immediately." I stared at the paper, at my name, at the word termination, and I felt like my entire world was collapsing. My hand reached for the pen, and that's when the door opened. An old woman walked in, small, frail, moving slowly with a cane. It was her, Sarah, the woman I'd helped in the rain. Craig's face went white. "Sarah," he stammered, "what are you—" "Don't sign that, Tyler," she said, her voice soft but firm. I froze. "How do you know my name?" She looked at Craig, then at me, and she smiled. "Because I own this company." Everything stopped. I stared at her. "What?" "I co-founded Lone Star Courier Services 30 years ago. I retired 15 years ago, but I still sit on the board. I still review employee files." She turned to Craig. "And I've been reviewing yours." Craig's face turned red. "Sarah, this is a personnel matter. This is an abuse of power," Sarah interrupted, "and I won't tolerate it." She walked over to his desk and picked up the termination letter. "Tyler Ramos, terminated for repeated tardiness and failure to meet company standards." She looked at Craig. "Did you investigate why he was late?" Craig hesitated. "He made excuses." "He helped me," Sarah said. "2 nights ago, during that storm, I was stranded at a bus stop. He pulled over, gave me my jacket, drove me home, made sure I was safe." She looked at me. "He didn't have to do that. Most people wouldn't have, but you did." My throat was tight. I couldn't speak.
"I also pulled Craig's employment records," Sarah continued. "This isn't the first time he's targeted good employees. 3 others filed complaints against him in the past 2 years. All were dismissed." She looked at Craig. "But I'm not dismissing this one." Craig stood. "Sarah, you can't—" "I can, and I am." She turned to me. "Tyler, you're not fired. In fact, you're promoted." I stared at her. "What?" "Full-time route coordinator. Better pay, better hours, and you'll have control over your own schedule." I couldn't breathe. I don't understand." "You showed kindness when no one was watching," Sarah said. "That's the kind of person I want leading this company." She handed me a new contract. "This is yours if you want it."
I looked at the paper, at the salary. It was almost double what I was making. "Yes," I said, voice shaking. "Yes, thank you." Sarah smiled. "Thank you, Tyler, for reminding me why I started this company in the first place." She turned to Craig. "You're suspended, pending a full investigation. If the board finds what I think they'll find, you're done." Craig's face went pale, but he didn't say a word. Sarah walked to the door, paused, looked back at me. "Take care of that son of yours, Tyler. He's lucky to have you." And she left. I sat in that office for a long time, staring at the contract, trying to process what just happened. Craig had tried to destroy me, and a stranger I'd helped in the rain had just saved my life. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved into my new role as route coordinator. The hours were better, the pay was better, and for the first time in years, I wasn't drowning. I could afford Michael's cleats, his team fees, a new jersey. I could make it to his practices, his games, and the look on his face when I showed up, that made everything worth it. Craig was fired 2 weeks later. The board found evidence of harassment, wrongful terminations, and abuse of power. He didn't fight it, just packed his stuff and left. Good riddance. Sarah started coming to Michael's games. She'd sit in the stands, cheering louder than anyone else. "She's like a grandma," Michael said one day. "Yeah," I said, "she kind of is." One Saturday after a game, Sarah pulled me aside. "How are you doing, Tyler?" she asked. "Better, a lot better. Thanks to you."
She shook her head. "You did this, not me. You chose to stop. You chose to help. That says everything about who you are." "I was just doing what felt right." "Exactly," she said, "and that's rare." She handed me an envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it." Inside was a check for $5,000. I stared at it. "Sarah, I can't—" "You can and you will. Consider it a bonus for being the kind of man this company needs." I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged her. And she hugged me back. A month later, Lone Star announced a new initiative, the Community Kindness Award, an award for employees who go above and beyond to help others. I was the first recipient. They gave me a plaque, a bonus, and recognition in front of the entire company. But the best part? Michael was there, watching, smiling. After the ceremony, he ran up to me. "Dad, that was so cool." I knelt down. "You think so?" "Yeah, you're like a hero." I laughed. "I'm not a hero, buddy." "Yes, you are," he said seriously. "You showed me what real strength is, not just muscles, but helping people, even when it's hard." My throat tightened. "Thanks, buddy." He hugged me, and I held him tight. 6 months later, life looked completely different. I was managing a team of drivers, teaching them the same values Sarah had reminded me of: kindness, integrity, and showing up for people. Michael made the youth football team. He was thriving, happy, confident. And Sarah, she became part of our family. She'd come over for dinner, attend Michael's games, even helped him with homework sometimes. One evening, we were sitting on my porch. Michael was inside doing homework. Sarah and I were drinking coffee. "Thank you," I said, "for everything." "You don't need to thank me, Tyler." "Yes, I do. You saved my life." She smiled. "You saved mine first." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" "That night in the rain," she said, "I wasn't just waiting for a bus. I was giving up." Her voice got quiet. "I'd lost my husband 6 months earlier. I was alone, struggling, and that night I thought maybe it would be easier to just let the storm take me." My chest tightened. "But then you stopped," she continued. "You helped me.
You reminded me that there's still kindness in the world, that people still care. She looked at me. So thank you, Tyler, for seeing me, for stopping, for being the kind of man the world needs more of. We sat in silence for a while, and I realized something. I'd thought I was just helping a stranger, but I'd been helping myself, too. Because that night, I was drowning, broken, ready to give up. And helping Sarah, it reminded me that I still had something to give, that I still mattered, that I wasn't invisible. A year later, I stood in front of a room full of new Lone Star employees. Sarah had asked me to speak at orientation. When I started here, I said, I thought my job was just to deliver packages, to clock in, clock out, go home. I paused. But this company taught me something. It's not just about the packages, it's about the people. I told them about Sarah, about the storm, about Craig. There will be days when you're exhausted, when you're running late, when you just want to go home. And on those days, you'll see someone who needs help, and you'll have a choice. You can keep driving, or you can stop. I looked around the room. I stopped, and it changed my life. Not because I expected anything in return, but because it was the right thing to do. And that's what this company is about. Doing the right thing, even when no one's watching. The room was silent. So when you're out there, I said, remember, you're not just a delivery driver. You're a human being. And sometimes the most important delivery you make isn't a package. It's kindness. After the session, Sarah pulled me aside. That was beautiful, Tyler. Thanks. You know, Sarah, when I started this company, I wanted to build something that mattered, something that helped people. She smiled. And then I lost sight of that. I got caught up in the numbers, the profits, the growth. But you, she said, you reminded me why I started in the first place. She put her hand on my shoulder. This company is in good hands, and so is your son. I felt my throat tighten. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. No, Tyler, thank you. Today, I'm the Regional Operations Manager for Lone Star Courier Services. I oversee 15 teams, train new drivers, and make sure that every single person who works here knows they matter. Michael's 14 now, still playing football, still dreaming big. And every time I watch him play, I think about that night in the rain. The night I almost gave up. The night I stopped to help a stranger. The night that changed everything. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the people we help in silence become the angels who speak for us when the world turns its back. I didn't help Sarah because I wanted something in return. I helped her because it was the right thing to do. But she gave me something anyway. She gave me hope. She gave me a future. She gave me a reminder that I mattered. And now I spend every day trying to pass that on. Because kindness isn't just an act, it's a legacy. And the legacy you leave isn't measured in money or success. It's measured in the lives you touch, the people you help, the moments you choose to stop when everyone else keeps driving. Michael asked me once, "Dad, why did you help that lady in the rain?" I thought about it. Because I'd hope someone would do the same for you, I said.
He smiled. That's what makes you strong, Dad. Not your muscles, your heart. And he's right. Strength isn't about how much you can carry. It's about who you choose to carry with you. I was drowning, broken, invisible. But I stopped. I helped.
I showed up. And that one choice saved my life. So if you're out there, struggling, feeling invisible, wondering if you matter, you do. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. Not just for the person you help, but for you too. If this story reminded you that kindness always comes back, drop a blue in the comments. Hit subscribe for more real stories about single dads who never gave up. And if ever someone stopped to help you when you needed it most, share your story below. Let's remind each other that good people still exist. See you in the next one.